Hey everyone, and welcome back to the $40 Investor. It is the end of week 3 of my investing experiment, and what an interesting week I had. Both the markets I'm tracking, the S&P 500 and Bitcoin, both saw a lot of red this week. And the market got spooked, mainly by the US threatening new tariffs, and also, as we know, the S&P 500 near record highs last week. So a lot of the big players took profits, and that also caused a slight dip in the market. But if you remember back to week 1, when I talked about dollar cost averaging, and I used the chocolate bar analogy about when chocolate bars go on special, if we buy the same amount or we spend the same amount of money, that means we can accumulate more chocolate bars. So this week, once again, I'm excited because my $40 will be accumulating more assets. It'll be increasing my asset column, which we all know, especially after reading this book this week, that the rich buy assets. So we want to be increasing our asset column. And I'll talk more about this book later on in the video. But before we get to the portfolio, please remember this is not financial advice. This is just my investing journey. This is my experiment, and I'm inviting you all in to watch. So now let's check out the portfolio. All right, let's check out this week's damage to my portfolio. Now let's start over here with IVV. As we can see, the last 5 days we're down 1.77%. The market took a bit of a breather after the near record highs. If we look over here at Bitcoin, we can see I'm down nearly 10% this week. Bitcoin's sitting at $128,000. I have my average buy price is $136,000. So down 10% for the week. And like I said earlier, that's due to all the talk about the tariffs and global drama. But let me explain to you why I'm excited about this 10% drop again. So this week, Bitcoin is down 10%. And I'm going to explain to you why I think it's a good idea, why I'm still buying it, and what that means for my portfolio. Now, please remember, this is not financial advice. This is just what I'm doing on my personal journey. Now, let's say I've been looking on realestate.com for the last 6 months, and I've been tracking this one property in particular. It's a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom home, and the owners want $800,000 for it. And then I turn on the news and I see Albo's threatening this and that, tariffs, and the RBA is threatening a rate hike or to put rates up through the roof. And then I log into realestate.com the next day and I see that property has now dropped 10% and is worth $720,000. It's the same house, same location, same 4 bedrooms, same 2-bathroom, but I'm getting the house at a 10% discount. That's exactly how it works with the stock market and the crypto markets. When they drop, Warren Buffett said, when people are fearful, be greedy. And when people are greedy, be fearful. So when news like this happens, people get fearful and they sell their assets, and that's what causes the price drop or discounts in the market. And that's when we want to be greedy. So that's when we want to be accumulating assets at a discounted price. It's like buying an $800,000 house for 10% under market value. You'd be silly not to do it. So all that means for my asset column is I'm going to accumulate more assets this week while the market is down. All right, so let's make this week's purchases. $20 of Bitcoin. Now remember, I'm getting this at a 10% discount to what I got last week. So I'm stoked with that. Beautiful, $20 done there. Don't know if I should show that, but anyway. And then let's pop over here and buy my shares. Where's the buy thing? Oh, here. All right, amount, $20. Also getting our IVV at a slight discount this week. 1 pending order, so when the market opens tomorrow, I'm just going to buy and accumulate another $20 worth, no matter what the market is sitting at. Okay, so that is week 3 of my investing experiment done and dusted. The $40 has been invested. Hopefully next week I see a bit more green in my portfolio, but hey, when the market's down, like I said, that's where I just buy a little bit more with my $20. He who gathers money little by little makes it grow. And I know I hit you guys with that proverb every week, but I just feel there's so much knowledge in that. Now, before I go, I get flooded with messages about what book I recommend to read or any finance books I recommend. This book, Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, could be the greatest financial book ever written. If I could only read one more book for the rest of my life, outside of the Bible, it would be this one here. Robert Kiyosaki details his life growing up. He had two father figures in his life. He had his real father, who he calls his poor dad. He was an educated man who worked for money. And his best friend's father, who was a wealthy man, his rich dad, who owned businesses and assets and had money working for him. And he draws the comparison or the differences between how his real father taught him about money and what his rich father, or his friend's rich father, taught him about money. One of the biggest key takeaways is his simple definition of an asset and a liability. Now, an asset, as according to Robert Kiyosaki, is anything that puts money in your pocket. Think real estate, shares, anything like that. Now, liability is anything that takes money out of your pocket. Think shoes, cars, handbags, yada, 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 the like. Now, the rich acquire assets, and that's what pays for their lifestyles. And the poor and middle class accumulate liabilities that they think are assets. One of the biggest controversies from his book is he doesn't believe your own home is an asset. Now, I get it because it doesn't pay you every week. It does grow in value. So anyway, let me know in the comments below if you think your home is an asset or is it more of a liability because it takes money from you every week. That was one of the controversies that he caused with this book. Anyway, thank you for following along with me on this journey. As always, have an amazingly blessed week and tune in next week. Like and subscribe. Hit me up with any comments. If you have book recommendations as well, leave them below and let me know and I'll check them out for sure. Otherwise, this week, bit of light reading, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and have a blessed week. And I'll see y'all during the week.